Born to Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man, and his first wife, Nadia was kidnapped as a child and raised in Russia's Red Room program. By reverse engineering her father's shrinking Pym particles, she was able to escape and travel to America to begin her life as the brand new Wasp. She's been an Avenger and a champion, but her most important role is as the founder and leader of Genius in Action Research Labs, a collective of girl prodigies using science and engineering to change the world. Today, Nadia is racing through the street with Jarvis. The once again villainous organization known as AIM is attacking a building, and it's up to G.I.R.L to stop them. These ladies of science are easily able to overpower the agents of AIM, and they move in to find the leader of this attack, a villain known as Seeker. The crazy thing about all of this is that this isn't even the most important mission anyone on G.I.R.L is involved in today. Janet Van Dyne and Alexis Miranda are both in a meeting that will determine the fate of G.I.R.L forever. Janet explains to a group of investors that under the guidance of Pym Labs, G.I.R.L has recruited a premier class of young female inventors who are already pushing the limits of what is possible. In the small time this lab has existed, these new talents have made leaps in botany, robotics, chemistry, and even long-distance human teleportation. But this is only the beginning, and the group wants to start at Expo to attract new talent and members into their organization. Alexis nervously begins to tell the crowd about their plans. Meanwhile, Nadia is able to overpower Seeker and confront what turns out to be a young woman that Nadia has met before. The woman, named Amber, says that she's working with AIM because they understand what's coming, what Hank Pym is planning to do. Nadia is dismayed. Hank Pym is dead. He died fighting Ultron a long time ago. But Amber replies that Pym is anything but dead, and if they don't stop him, he's going to infect them all. Nadia later asks Jarvis if her father is alive, and if he was alive, that he'd tell her about it. Jarvis insists that if he had any indication that Hank was still living, she'd be the first person he'd tell about it. He's sure that Miss Van Dyne feels the same way. Nadia thought so, but just wanted to be sure. After all, nobody told her that he once hit Janet. Jarvis understands, but encourages her to celebrate. After all, the meeting with the investors turned out well, and the G.I.R.L Expo begins in 2 weeks. Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and this is my recap and review of Unstoppable Wasp #1. So I had a bit of time today, and I thought I'd do a recap and review since it's been a little while since we've done a traditional one, and I picked out this series because it looked interesting, and I thought it would be a new take on a series that I was looking forward to overall. And I haven't really followed Nadia van Dyne beyond her role in a couple of team stories. So it's all relatively fresh for me, and this is all pretty new territory, but the comic does a good job at explaining anything nicely for a newbie like me, to the extent that I really didn't have any questions about anything. It was quite interesting of a read overall. I have to say I really love this comic book, and there's a lot of cool points about it that I want to get into. First, this is a pretty solid premise overall. I like this new Wasp character. I enjoy her origins. I like that she just sort of continues the Hank Pym family tree, and overall her whole little team of characters are interesting. The whole Red Room background is cool and provides the background for a couple of these characters, as well as just a nice collection of other burgeoning super scientists working together and saving the day in classic superhero style. I enjoy their cool little collective of robotic tech that they use to fight. These little drone things that work together with Nadia herself in the field. It looks really cool and is a pretty unique premise that led to some pretty creative fight scenes on the whole. It helps that this artwork is amazing. Gurahuru handles both the general framework of the art as well as the coloring, and he does an amazing job. That coupled with just a nicely put together comic that I think owes to some solid editors and an excellent letterer who really knows how to keep the flow of the comic and the eye movements moving from page to page, and this is a wonderful read. It's tough to start out a new series in Marvel's ever-existing land of eternal reboots and rejiggering things like this, but to be honest, this series does an excellent job at not only getting you acquainted with what's going on here, but also getting you on board with this series. I like how it opens with Jarvis and Nadia flying around in a car together. That's a fun little scene that really sells you on Nadia's character and also introduces the tone of everything. This comic had me genuinely laughing a couple of times throughout reading it, and that's a very good thing for any comic book to do, but especially in a single issue that isn't aiming entirely to be just funny. It's a nice all-ages story that really reflects the whole girl power attitude, but not overplaying its hand. Like, I didn't really feel like this was intended for any specific gender to begin with. It's really just a comic for anyone. If you like superheroes and enjoy this sort of fun antics, then you're gonna probably like this series. In particular, if you're a nerd like me who knows exactly what actually happened to Hank Pym, well then this comic's very interesting and there's some cool colors to it beyond just the superficial fun adventure involving fighting AIM. There's more going on here, and clearly this is going to be followed up on going forward in an interesting way. I'm very curious about what happens next in regards to all of this, and what that means for Nadia's character, because she's fun. The artwork is very cartoonish, and I'm sure you've noticed that looking over it by now, but I have to tell you, it's got a ton of excellent detail to it, and an excellent use of coloring to give it a strong, almost Saturday morning cartoon feel, but of a show that's really high quality and really just gets it. You know what this reminds me of more than anything is a cartoon by the guys who made like Avatar: The Last Airbender or The Legend of Korra. Which makes sense, this guy did work on the Avatar: The Last Airbender comics, but it just works so well. I don't know, I was blown away by it. I really like this thing. I'm really looking forward to what happens next. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and if you like Comic Island, be sure to check out our Patreon page in the video description below. And finally, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.